Hey guys, welcome back. Much to the surprise of myself, and likely many others, a new Canon Fodder was posted in the wee hours of Thursday night, or Friday morning, or just about any time zone depending on where you live. But anyway, for the Pacific Coast and where 343 resided, it was Thursday. So let's take a look. We start out with a better look at exactly what Warzone is. We know it's a simulated experience like all of war games that pits two large Spartan teams against each other with AI enemies from varying factions. But what else is there to say? Technically not much, but context is everything, wouldn't you say? Wargame simulation technology has become increasingly sophisticated, with the UNSC leveraging it at all stages of training. Spartans are almost constantly engaged in wargames, familiarizing themselves with new weapons, enemies, and environments to solve the progressively complex and hazardous tactical problems they will face in the field. In an effort to more accurately synthesize live-fire battlefield conditions, and with new threats constantly emerging, the programmers and training personnel aboard the Infinity have enhanced the simulation scenarios to create Warzone, a combined arms training program that pits Spartans against a wide range of Covenant and Forerunner enemies, as well as each other. With Infinity at the tip of the spear, the Warzone designers have access to many of ONI's internal Wargames map datasets and technical intelligence reports, allowing them to pull together data on hundreds of different combat encounters, think tank exercises, and secret observations to create unique high-threat enemy simulations. These boss constructs can be representative of a singular exceptional opponent, or an amalgam of combatants created to test particular combat strategies and threat response loops by UNSC troops. For training purposes, these bosses are identified by specific colorations within Warzone to indicate their threat level. So, pretty much what we know, but more interesting with in-universe context. Probably the coolest part of the Warzone experience that we've seen thus far are the bosses. Ones that we know include the Knight Marshal, Knight Strategos, Master Intex, and Baron Sraum. The Baron was the focus of the Warzone sample at E3, and his name should sound pretty familiar. He is related, in some way at least, to Unthros Roam, the third co-op character from Halo 3, and a character in Hunters in the Dark. Moving forward, we get a bit of an ad for Game Informer's coverage of Halo 5. It's actually pretty exciting if you haven't kept up. Updates from this week include two videos, one with Frank O'Connor and Brian Reed, and another with Bonnie Ross. Both were very much fun to watch, even if there isn't much to report canon-wise. It's more about how Halo is developed and specific details about the story going forward. Link in the description box for Game Informer's Halo coverage, again, if you haven't seen. Next up, we get a couple of questions from the forums answered. The first asks why the Arbiter's armor is said to be quite old in Halo 2. Based on Halo Wars, you'd think it'd actually be quite new, or at least not so old that the camo systems are outdated as they are said to be in Halo 2. As it turns out, the Mausoleum of the Arbiter holds several sets of armor, all of them ancient and storied, as the article says, and not always passed from one Arbiter to the next. The Covenant, and really the Sangheili, were always ones for tradition. The second question asks whether the UNSC Marines in Warzone are actual Marines or just AI constructs. Turns out, they're the latter. The only living beings, as far as we know, are the Spartan 4s themselves. The article comes to a close with the announcement of a new segment called Chatternet. Rather than fans asking questions, 343 is turning the tables for this segment. Now and then, a topic will show up in the Halo Universe forums on Waypoint asking a question of the community. Answers will then be selected for inclusion in a future issue of Canon Fodder. That's really all we know at the moment, but I can't wait to see where this leads. That wraps up the article and brings us to the new universe entries. This week we have the Type 33 Light Anti-Armor Weapon or Fuel Rod Cannon, and the Type 2 Energy Weapon / Hammer or Gravity Hammer. Starting with the Fuel Rod Cannon, there isn't too much to say. However, it is interesting to note that, with the fall of the Covenant, the Sangheili have only been able to replicate the manufacturing process with Forerunner machines that regularly require maintenance from Huragok. Despite efforts to study the fuel rods in the aforementioned Forerunner machines, the UNSC hasn't made any notable progress. While Miseria Armory and Materials Group have acquired the machinery to create new fuel rods, it has proven most costly and dangerous. What I find particularly interesting about this entry is the fact that the Halo 5 fuel rod cannon is notably different from its predecessors, with the fuel rods being loaded from the rear of the gun. It makes you wonder if the Sangheili or humans have a breakthrough before Halo 5's setting. Moving forward, we have the Gravity Hammer. Again, not much to say. It's more or less a lot like the Fist of Rucht in that the gravity hammers we know now are based on war hammers used by chieftains back in the day. The article does make note of other ancient war hammers with long histories, not unlike the Fist of Rucht, and implies that some may have been given the same treatment as the legendary Fist. Here's hoping that we might see some of those in future fiction. And so that brings this issue of Canon Fodder to a close. This Sunday is the much promised Q&A, and Hunters in the Dark will be sometime later, hopefully within the week. I mean, the 4th of July is coming up, so I definitely have the time. Anyway, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you Sunday. Or early Monday, depending on rendering times. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. It means more than I can express in a few minutes of audio. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share it around on whatever social media you see fit, and all that jazz. Thank you so much. Your support is everything. I would not be where I am without you. Thanks.